Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Socially Desi Show, the podcast that motivates you to live, create, and inspire. If this is your first time here, welcome. On our show, we discuss tips and strategies with our guest speakers on how to tackle problems related to personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. So hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Raghuram. He is the founder and CEO of Yes Poho. Yes Poho is a Visakhapatnam-based techno-experience social platform that connects artisans and weavers with their customers directly. So, hello, Mr. Raghuram. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Anurag. Thank you. Thank you and your team and giving us the opportunity to talk about Espoho.
It's a pleasure, Raghu, to have you on the show today. So, Mr. Raghu, tell us a bit about your professional journey so far.
Sure. My professional journey actually starts right after my completion of my bachelor's degree in engineering from Dindigul in Tamil Nadu. This is around 1994. I went to US to do my master's in electrical engineering, and then from there on, I started to move around US for my work. My first position being in Boston was my first job. Now, during my working tenure, I worked in several industries, including startups. In fact, I was one of the first few programmers who built the airline website for Priceline.com. I'm sure many of you would have heard about it. This was my first exposure to startup, and I learned what kind of an environment startups run and how startups work. From there on, I worked in other industries, moved up to the management roles as well. My first management exposure was in a firm called IFMG. It's a broker-dealer company, part of Sun Life Financial today, which gave me my first management experience. I worked in a commodity company called Bungie and other financial firms before I finally started working for Espoho in 2017.
Wonderful. And what was the inspiration behind Yes Poho?
Yeah, absolutely. The journey goes like this, right? During my working tenure, I had in the US, I had initiated several startups, and one such is a commodity trading platform. Now, this was around 2011. While presenting this product to several small and mid-sized companies, farmers, and traders within the US and South America, I happened to give this demo to one of my engineering college friend who apparently hails from a weaving community. My intent was to onboard him for his raw material purchases, which is silk for his silk saris. Post the product presentation, he said, "Raghu, all this is well and good. Why don't you visit once? Come home." And he lives in Valajapet near Kanchipuram. So during my subsequent trip to India, after meeting him, I happened to visit all the weaving villages in and around Kanchipuram, Valajapet, Salem, and Dindigul. Of course, I have to go back to my college days, right, to see how my college is also doing.
Yeah.
I learned that there's a much deeper and common problem going on in the artisan community. And at the same time, on my way back, decided to shop a sari for my family members. And that shopping experience was not great. We spent several hours in traffic going from store to store. I'm sure you must have experienced this at least once, Anurag, in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And you know what kind of experience it will be once you get into a retail store, right? So during this trip, I also happened to meet Meenakshi Dubey, who eventually became co-founder, and she too had a similar shopping experience. So both these instances opened up an entire new perspective where on one end, customers were not satisfied. So we went from store to store to store. And on the other end, the artisanal community is on the verge of extinct in spite of all the government programs, hundreds of retail stores and e-commerce companies. This is when we started working on addressing the current problem, and we founded Espojo. Espojo is actually derived from a Spanish word espojo, E-S-P-O-J-O, which means mirror. We transformed the word for easy pronunciation, and it means, yes, I look good in front of the mirror. So that is how we started the journey for Espojo.
Interesting. I mean, a very interesting name. I look good in front of the mirror. I think, every Indian likes to look at the mirror and check them out. So, very interesting name. And what was the USP that you thought when it comes to the platform? What is your USP and what are the offerings that you have under Yes Poho?
Sure. I mean, if you look at all the e-commerce companies and retail stores, right, they pretty much have the same product offering. Just a product, right? So, and sari or anything else is almost like a commodity, and there's nothing much we can do, correct? So the USP that we offer is purely a technology, right? So we created what is called AR, VR, and social commerce to build a techno experience based digital engagement company. So consider us like almost like a Facebook and any e-commerce put together, right? Where unless we you unless our customers and artisans they interact and engage with each other, right? There is no real awareness that you can actually solve. And the second thing that we added to this is uh, giving the ability for customers tools to play around, right? The first one is Try Me, which is a
Okay.
pending patented technology that we have, which allows customers to try the product virtually on themselves before making a purchase. So this is almost like you go to a mall, go to a shop, you pick up a shirt, anurag, and then you go into the dressing room and you try yourself, right? So that's the kind of
Right,
experience
right.
that we offer. The second thing that we did is, if you look at the actual problem, why is it that the customers are not satisfied? It is because of limited choices. So that's why we went from store to store to store, right? I mean, if you noticed your shopping experience, or if you go back and think about it, right, you would have gone with your wife or your sister or your mom, and they would have said, "Give me this sari for this color, for that design, and for that fabric. Do you have a design? Do you have a sari?" And the retailer always says, "No, he doesn't have one."
Yeah.
That is the reason, one of the reasons why they actually go from store to store, because customer is not satisfied. On Espoho, what we have done is give the customer the ability to create their own product. Let us understand what are their tastes and preferences, as opposed to trying to push the product to them. Let them design their product. So give them the ability to do it, and let the manufacturer go and manufacture. In this case, our weavers go and manufacture this, right? So we address another problem on the weaver side is, over generations they have been suppressed, and they don't get the customer feedback directly from the customers themselves. They've been given a design saying just go do it, and they just do it.
Yeah.
So by interacting directly with the customer on the platform, by engaging with them, and by allowing customers to create their own product, we have in essence created a ecosystem where artisans can understand the changing customer taste and preferences directly, and also engage with them, and at the same time giving the customers the ability to create the product that they want to own. So now it becomes more customization. It's more about customization and personalization, which will interest every customer in this country. So these are our
Yeah,
USPs
that's
at this
that's
point.
interesting. That's really interesting, Mr. Raghu, because it's really important to empower the artisans of India, and that is what is the main theme of today's episode. We would like to know that when it comes to empowering the artisans of India, how do you actually bring out this talent from deep inside the country roads, right? Because artisans finding the talent, you'll have to go deeper into the country, go deeper into the rural areas, in the small villages, small cities, and figure out the talent and bring them on board onto your platform so that people can, they can showcase their talent to the world, to India, to the rest of the world. So how do you do that? How do you bring out that talent from the deep roads of our country?
Sure. 2017 is when we launched Espoho, and I
Hmm.
relocated. My family is still back in the US, right? So I relocated. My first place that I lived was in Kanchipuram, because that's where we started, because of my friend, and thanks to him, right?
Hmm.
But eventually, I learned that sitting in Kanchipuram, sitting in Chennai or Mumbai as an entrepreneur is not going to work out. I have to be at the ground level. So one of the first things that we do in Espoho is we travel. We go from village to village to village. So I spend months. In the beginning, I used to spend months in Upada. I For the little Hindi that I know, I survived in Bihar and West Bengal, right?
Okay.
So because it's very essential that I have to understand them, I have to look at them,
Yeah.
I have to be them. There is otherwise I just cannot say, "Hey, here's my app, go download, and I want you to take pictures this way." There is no way that's happening. Correct?
True.
They'll just say, "This here's another NRI who just came in and now he's just doing it. We've seen more NRIs like you before." That's exactly what the
Correct.
thing goes, right? So we spend months sitting in these villages, working with them, understanding their needs, right? I spent time in Coimbatore near artisan villages near Coimbatore and Salem as well. So as we work through, we build what is called the trust, and we also understand where the gaps are. Based on that is how we created the technological tools that would help them engage directly, manage the orders, manage their inventory, manage everything. So that unless you go down the route, you really cannot get these talent. And one of the things that we also found that there's a lot of talent in this country that is just not tapped, right? So we created what is
Yeah.
called Espoho Institute, where the artisans train other artisans on either on their own designs or use them for other training. So we created what is
Right.
this institute actually helps in training other artisans for their needs. Because one thing that I noticed was you talk to every artisan, every weaver, and they say, "I don't want my son to become a weaver." That
Right.
was very disturbing, right?
Hmm.
So the culture, I mean, handloom and handicraft is one of the oldest industry in India, and in fact, it's one of the oldest industry in the globe itself, right? And that is not an industry; it is actually a culture because it weaves. The weaves that they do actually add soul to the fabric, and that is about on the verge of extinct. And it is us. I mean, government can only do so much. So private enterprises like Espoho and other companies have to step up the game and bring out this talent and showcase it to the world. And it's up to us to do that.
So true, Mr. Raghu. And you have actually hit a very deep chord here because this has been in the talks for so long that the art, the culture of artisans and weavers in India, it's actually dying. It's on the verge of extinct, like you said, and it's really important for entrepreneurs and businesses to keep this alive so that we can showcase it to the world. And like you said, when you speak to them and they say, I don't want my kid to become a viewer because there's no money that they can really see when making their art, and selling their art, and they're not seeing that kind of money which can actually motivate them to bring in the next generation into the same art form. So that is where I think, it's really important that we digitally empower these artisans and their art. So how can we as a community or entrepreneurs help them to get digitally empowered?
Sure. One, first understand the problem itself, correct? If you look at the
Right.
problem and if you read any article on the web as to why this artisanal community is on the verge of extinct, you'll always see that it's lack of, you'll always see that it is a fragmented market, poor infrastructure, obsolete technologies. I mean, all these, everybody knows about it. What is more important is there is a huge disconnect between the current generation and the artisanal community, right? On one end, you have customers who become very price sensitive in India, right? I mean, you talk about anything going from purchasing vegetables to anything, they'll always start discounting. I mean, correct. At the same time, we also drive BMWs. So you have the same customer
Yeah.
who drives BMWs but asks for 10 rupees off on his on vegetable buying every day. Correct. So
Right.
that is who
Right.
we are. I mean, that is inborn with us, and I'm not blaming anyone here, but that's inborn with us. Correct. But you need to raise the awareness. You need to say that, hey, yes, this product could be expensive, but there's a reason why it's expensive. Correct. It's because it is handmade. The silk threads, for example, silk threads are very authentic, and raise that awareness as opposed to a power loom where the silk thread is not an authentic silk one that they use and it's of inferior
Mm-hmm.
quality. So bring about the awareness, create a direct engagement, make the customer understand what goes into manufacturing the product that they actually own today. That has to happen,
Right.
right? Then the tools, the technological tools to give direct market exposure to global market exposure to the artisans, that needs to happen. It's not that these people don't know how to, because everybody, even a weaver has a cell phone today. They all have WhatsApp, which means they have a smartphone. It's all about
Right.
educating them, right? It's all about educating them. So educate them, create tools that is language sensitive for them, which is what we have in Espoho. Our partner app that we have is, I mean, we use the word partners, not artisans, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
partner app that we have is very language sensitive. So now they can speak in their language. When they communicate on
Okay.
the platform with the guest, that's also language sensitive. So I, as a customer, I could be typing in English. The artisan on the other side we translate it, give it to a language that he understands, so he could be typing in Telugu for all we know,
Right.
right? So
Interesting.
those are the
Yeah.
kinds of engagements that we need to, which is completely not there today, especially in the retail stores and e-commerce companies, right? So we all focus on selling the product, but there should be more of an engagement going on, that will product will sell by itself eventually. That is where we see the gap going on right now.
True, true. But how do you bridge this gap? That's like the big question here, because the government talks about vocal for local, and a lot of, like, in fact, on our podcast also we have spoken a lot about vocal for local earlier. But how do you really bridge this gap? Like, what is the ground reality?
Okay, if you look at India itself, right, it's a nation rich in resources, human talent,
Yeah.
natural resources, and it still baffles my mind as to why we are still an import country as opposed to being an export oriented country. So if you look at any industry, it's not that we don't have the skills or the resources to manufacture or make it locally. It is just that we perceive that imported goods are far superior than locally made.
Hmm.
That's only a perception. You look at the
Yeah.
handloom industry itself, right? I just mentioned about the silk imported from China today, right? Because of the shortage that we have in our own backyard. The quality of that product is so inferior that most of it can only be used in power looms. For handlooms,
Okay.
silk manufactured or made locally are far more superior, and that quality thread can only be used in handloom. And we've
Right.
always, like I said, we've always been price focused as opposed to quality, and raising that awareness is one of the essential things. And this vocal for local movement helps not only raise awareness but also helps preserve the internal talent and industry. The other thing that we do is, as a nation, right, we don't do very good in marketing. I mean, if I've lived in the US for so long, right, everything is world famous out there. It
Right.
could be
Right.
no passing judgments, it could be. We should also market our products really well, right? First, we should start marketing our products domestically, make them understand, make them aware, tell them how it's been done, and that this movement definitely would work. And then you can start going global, saying India is the best in silk saris, India is the best in silk manufacturing, India is the best in auto design, in chip design, everything, right? That is how we have to. I think that is one thing that we can definitely do to bridge this gap here.
So true. I mean, even if you look at like a basic Kanchipuram sari, like you can see the ones which are handmade and the ones which are made in the machines. I think there's a huge difference when it comes to the quality. And like you said, like if you're bringing in a silk which is imported, that's of very low quality, and that can't really be used on a by somebody who is hand weaving them. And that's really really important for us as a community, as a country, to uh, bring in more awareness with the customers first, and then showcase this talent to them, and make them understand why there is a huge gap when it comes to pricing, because of course something which is handmade, which is of top notch quality, will be of bigger price, which will come with a bigger price tag. And coming back to the next question that I have for you is that, like you said, one of the myth that people have is that imported goods are better than home produced goods. That's why vocal for local movement is suffering. What are some of the other myths that you have seen around when it comes to locally produced goods?
There's a lot of other things that go on, and I mean, for sure, everything locally produced, nobody. The trust factor is another thing that is there, right? Because it's locally made, I don't believe it anymore. Come on, how many of these made in China products do we actually believe? Correct? Or if you go to in the US Walmart, every product in Walmart is made in China. None of 90% of
Yeah.
those don't even work. Seriously, doesn't work. And here we believe in foreign products. So the trust is another important thing that I believe is another myth, that when it comes to anything made locally, we don't believe it. We shouldn't purchase it. And over the years, people have added more to it also. The same marketing thing that, hey, this is how we are. Who said this is how we have to be? Correct. Let's change that going forward. We are Indians. No way. This is another myth. India is always like this, or anything can happen in India. That's another favorite phrase that people always say. Anything can happen in India.
Mm.
No, let's change it. It's a new country, right? Yes, it used to be like that, but here's a country that's growing right now. So let's all change that myth also. So those are some of another myth that I personally feel that that should be changed, and I'm sure it will change going forward also.
And how big of a role do you think social media plays in this whole mix when it comes to bringing out our local talent in front of the world?
That's a beautiful question. When it comes to social media, it's both a boon and a bane. Correct. Uh,
Yeah.
we as an customer or the receiver of that information should be able to dissect, saying, is this a noise, or is it a fake, or is it a genuine story? Correct, because everything is on social media these days, and we need to be educating ourselves, and we cannot rely on someone else educating us, but we need to be raising our own awareness and our own knowledge about uh, what is true and what is fact. But social media for sure has definitely helped raise the awareness when it comes to identifying talent and portraying the talent outside. Like if you look at Facebook, there's always news stories that come out saying this weaver has done this artisan has done this, here's a beautiful handcrafted product that's out there, made locally here, and then they write a story about that person that actually improves or increases the awareness. So on one end, when we have fake news is going on, we have these things where it's actually helping improve or increase the awareness of what the talent this country has, and or we as an individual have, and what all we can do with it. There's another thing that social media also does is it also helped improve our way of living as well, right? So now we know where to go and find things. Earlier, that was not there with internet and all that. It was prior to internet days. We always relied on books or someone telling us, "Hey, you need to go all the way here." Today, it's
Yeah.
at the tip of a finger. Knowledge is at the tip of a finger, literally, and we have to use it. It is up to us to use that kind of knowledge to our own benefit.
So true, so true. And speaking of social media being a boon, I think, it's a pleasure to announce that Yes Poho has been gracious enough to sponsor a giveaway with the Socially Desi show. And four lucky winners are going to win 1,000 rupees vouchers for the Yes Poho platform. Mr. Raghu, would you like to tell the audience more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to make sure that everyone comes to our platform, engage with our artisans, and help. First of all, create that awareness, saying how their products are being made and how they can talk directly with an artisan. That's another tool that we have where you can actually chat with the artisans directly in case you have a question. You don't have to call a customer service or any of our expovians sitting behind the scenes, right? So for that, we are saying, please come look at us, engage with us, have fun with us, have fun with the tools that we have, with the products that we have, and for that we are giving away this 1,000 rupee voucher.
Wonderful, guys. So you know the drill. We'll put the links in the show notes below. The giveaway link will also go up as soon as the episode is out. So go enter the giveaway, and four lucky winners are going to win 1,000 rupees vouchers for the Yes Poho platform. And before we, wrap up today's episode, Mr. Raghu, what are your thoughts, closing remarks on the kind of initiatives that Yes Poho had taken in the last couple of years, and what sort of contribution have you done to the society and for the artisans as a whole?
Sure. That okay. Before I start with that, right? In most companies, CSR is a separate activity or a department. This is because
Yeah.
the purpose for that organization does not implicitly include any contribution to the society. Expo, on the other hand, has a built in purpose, and that is to improve the livelihood of artisans through technology and improve market access. Steve Jobs actually once said he wanted to poke a hole in the universe, and I truly believe in poking a hole in this universe. In the last 2 years, I mean, we've all been through this whole pandemic, and no one needs to explain what kind of crisis each one of us, both within the company, personally, have gone through. So during the first wave of COVID, with the movement of goods grounded completely, food was an issue in our artisanal villages. So we raised funds. Thanks to our loyal customers, we were able to raise funds to distribute food packets to our artisanal villages on time. However, everyone quickly adapted, and this was not an issue any longer during the second wave. But the second wave was even more severe, and during this wave, we actually lost several lives. I mean, a lot of our artisans lost their lives during the second wave, and whenever I called them and if someone did not answer the phone call, my village, my art weavers, unfortunately had to think that they were dead. And so what we did, this was a major setback, and we at Espoho understood the seriousness of this situation. So first we conducted webinars to raise the awareness in villages on what is COVID, what is social distancing, and so on and so forth. But we thought that maybe that's the only thing we had to do. But during these webinars, we learned that our artisans don't even have the basic medical kits like thermometer,
Yeah.
paracetamol, etc. Right? I mean, in villages, very poor infrastructure, very poor medical facilities, and all that. So once again, we went back into the market. We raised funds to procure medical kits, thermometer, oximeter, paracetamol as one kit, and we started distributing it into our artisanal villages. So my closing thoughts is, uh, I mean, one of the things that this happened is people started to trust us more. These villages, artisans, they all started to trust us more because we are not there only for business. We are there for everything in their life. So we play a key role in their life. Once you do that, the trust starts to open up and business automatically will start to run. To close it off, I'd like to thank our customers for all their contributions and to every Espovian who made a significant sacrifices during this pandemic. It will not be good if I don't mention my Espovians for all the sacrifices they have done during the last 2 years. And these are some of the things that we have done and we continue to do to contribute to the society.
No, absolutely, absolutely, Mr. Raghu. I think a good team is like a backbone to any entrepreneur, and having your Espovians to make sure that they are behind you, helping you, and taking care of all the things in order to make sure that the system is running, the platform is running, and the artisans are taken care of. I think that really, really is a big kudos to you and your team. With that, thank you so much, Mr. Raghu, for being on the Socially Desi show. It has been an absolute pleasure to interact with you today.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thanks to my customers once again, to all the listeners, to my Espovians, and to my family members for their significant sacrifices that everyone's made, and hoping to see the increased engagement on on our platform. And good luck to all the winners. Thank you.
So that wraps it up for today, folks. If you liked the episode, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go viral. Remember, our weekly podcast features episodes on personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. We would love to have Mr. Raghu on our show again in the future to discuss more about the beautiful world of Yes Pogo. And if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com. And as always, before I sign off, remember, life is black and white and everything in between.